You know, sometimes the president, we know, does say some things that can be a little surprising. That's one of them. And at the same time, it's not a game or kind of a thing to shock people specifically. It's kind of the nature of how he's approaching this, like many Americans. Now, we're going to talk about this and the general message and the remarkable impact of these rallies. Joining me now, Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, and Anthony Tall, a Democratic analyst. Gentlemen, welcome aboard. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you. Of course.
All right. Look, hi there. So, Charlie, somebody on social media had noted that, look, a lot of us had watched the rally last night, and yet all these people still got in line going into this rally this evening, likely to hear some of the same messaging, but wanted to be in the realm of what this man was saying and doing. He had been very underestimated during the 2016 race. Do you think that these rallies indicate the same or more enthusiasm for this next coming up election here in 2020?
Even more. And is an election tomorrow? Because it sure feels like it. I mean, in Louisiana it is, but nationally it feels as if we're right around the corner. We got 13 more months of this, Tammy. It's amazing. These rallies are an American phenomenon. The energy, the spirit, his ability to connect with the people and the voters that put him into office. And what's really interesting is that he doesn't just go there to spread his message, but he also goes and hears from the actual attendees how they feel about what he's doing, the enthusiasm that they have for his agenda. And I'll say it's really amazing to see people on a Friday night to be able to attend, to wait in line the day after, as you noted, the day after a long rally that happened yesterday. There's something so special because each one of those individuals that attends that rally feels as if they're playing their part in a broader movement to reclaim government from a corrupt institution or corrupt practices in the past. It's truly amazing. I think it's even more enthusiasm than we had in 2016.
Yes, you know, none of us could have, I think, predicted the nature of how this president's first term has been unfolding. And with all of the attacks and resistance, if you will, whether or not that would have impacted support or enthusiasm. But Anthony, I have to say, I would think you might agree that these rallies seem to be as enthusiastic, if not more, as passionate. The president does not seem worn down by anything that has gone on. In fact, he has noted that he feels invigorated and that he enjoys this. What is your sense as a Democrat when you watch this after everything that's happened over the last 3 years?
Well, I'm amazed by the president. I love his passion. I love the way he's able to relate. And I don't think I've seen a candidate on the other side that can compete with his folksy manner, the way he just goes out there and basically entertains. I watched basically the whole rally, and the president's charisma is outside of this world. I'm not going to take that away from him. But that said, he's got a lot to deal with. He's got a lot on his plate. He's got a House of Representatives that is coming to impeach him, and he knows that. He knows that. I agree with you 100%. He doesn't look tired. He doesn't look worn down. He looked young. He looked relatively vibrant tonight. But I haven't seen him looking that way all week, so it's good to see him looking that way. But I think he's got a long 2-3 months before the holidays ahead of him.
Yeah, you know, it's almost as though, Charlie, and maybe we all would agree, you know, some people really get energized by this. If the president didn't have these crowds, if he didn't have this reminder that he is supported, maybe what's happening in the political world in Washington would have a bigger impact. But it ranges from him, you know, moving his agenda, talking about the politicians that are there and the political goal, but then even like the moment of bringing up the Little League champions. This is the sense of Americana that are at these rallies, compared, Charlie, to what we saw outside in Minnesota yesterday. It's a serious juxtaposition that is troubling. How would you put that when it comes to how the American people are seeing like almost two different Americas unfolding?
It's a phenomenal point, Tammy. And look, these rallies are less political and more cultural than anything else. The people that attend these rallies, they feel a reinvigoration for the patriotic spirit that just seems to have been diminishing over the last couple decades. I think there's a really interesting previous point that was made, because a lot of other Democrats are saying the exact same thing. They see a president that looks younger today than before he took office, which is a rather new phenomenon, especially in recent presidents. They see the crowd sizes. They see his presidential campaign, sitting on over $125 million in cash, an extraordinary figure. They see all this, and so then they now look to that word that was said, impeachment. Because for them, that is now a political tool to try to stop the president's enthusiasm and movement. If he's drawing these crowds 13 months out, what's it going to look like a year from today?
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing.
Charlie and Anthony, let's take a look as an example. Obviously, the biggest thing on his plate, what Americans are hearing about every day, is the impeachment process. He's had a couple things to say in particular. Let's listen to this about the whistleblower involved in that.
And the whistleblower who works now for Biden, did you hear this one came out yesterday? But the whistleblower comes out with a totally phony report on my phone call. But they never thought I'd release it, so they were going to be okay. 8 times quid pro quo, except it was no time.
Yes, you know, by the way, I want to make one correction. It's not that the whistleblower works for Biden. It's that the Washington Examiner came out with a story making an assessment with what we know about the whistleblower, that the 2020 candidate that the Inspector General and his attorney said that he had been associated with a 2020 candidate, that it appears quite directly that it was likely Biden. So with that, Anthony, you know, this is what's interesting is that the messaging that this approach would put a wet blanket on the president's support, that it would depress his supporters, that it would give somehow a boost to the hopes of the Democrats to take the White House. It may be having the opposite effect. I don't doubt that they'll impeach him. They've got the votes. But that seems like a political act at this point. Would you agree?
Well, I think it will appear political to the Republicans and to that side of the branch, but up to that side of the aisle. But you just have to remember, hey, I'm a Detroit Tiger fan. When we have to go to New York, we didn't have a good year. We got to go to New York and play the Yankees. The Democrats have a lot of evidence, you know, whether we're going to lose or not. We don't say we're going to lose, so we don't got to go. Right. So, you know, so same thing with the Democrats. They feel as if they have enough evidence. They feel as if the House of Representatives, which they have the majority in, has enough evidence to move forward. So it's their duty to go play ball.
Well, Anthony,
so what happens in the Senate is different.
They took the House because playing ball in the midterm elections was promising to deal with the issues. They promised to go to Washington and take things seriously and get things done. They talked about health care. They talked about prescription drug prices. They talked about jobs and wages. So if we're going to really go to the finish line here and we have to deliver and we've got to go where we got to go, shouldn't it be about the issues? And does it not trouble you that they aren't doing that? Is it because they don't understand the issues or they don't have the solutions? Or is it that they don't feel they can win in 2020 because the president is accomplishing so much?
Well, I think that they think they can beat him, and I think they're going to follow the polls. But I just believe that the hardcore base of the Democratic Party has wanted this president impeached. And once they've gotten something that they can latch on to, they're going to impeach him. But I don't think that they think he's unbeatable. Although it's fair to your point, I look at the audience and the charisma, then I look at what the Democrats have put up, and I haven't found anyone that can really compete with that charisma.
That's the trouble.
You know,
That's a trouble the Democrats have.
I will agree. Yeah.
Is the nature of their
lineup. And I will agree with that.
Now, besides the people who are running for President, Anthony, there's also people already in office, still in office, like Nancy Pelosi,